Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Namaste. Tonight we're going to start chapter 15. So if everyone will please join us in chanting. Om Bhur Swaha, Om Bhuva Swaha, Om Swah Swaha, Om Bhur Bhuva Swah Swaha, Shri Bhagavan Vacha Swaha, Utmulam Satsagam, Asagam Mahavaramanyam, Chandasi Yasya Parnami, Yatam Nedasri Swaha Akashkavatvam Tasmintasyasya Sakam Vinagravita Pravisha Bhava Adashyam Ulanam Yamunam Sambhavani Kamanapatini Manushyaloke Swaha Narupasya Katato Labhyate Namto Pranam Chandani Adatsam Pratishta Ashwatamenam Sirguru Ramulam Asanga Shastrina Tirena Shiva Swaha Tadha Padamdha Pari Marti Travyam Yasmin Gata Nam Nivaparti Buddhyam Tamil Vachanyam Purisham Parvadye Yatra Praviti Prasita Purani Swaha Nirmana Moha Chitta Sangha Dosha Avyatman Vidya Nimirita Kama Tadveta Vimukta Sutta Dukkha Sanghe Gacchantya Pura Avatamyajayam Tat Swaha Natadvasa Yudeshuyo Nasashanto Navaraka Nikatvam Dhanipartante Tadamha Paramama Swaha Namo Vaksho Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasashrani Priyani Prakriti Sahi Karshati Swaha Shiriraja Vatnoti Jatu Kamana Kamishwara Vipoitani Sanati Payurgadani Vashagat Swaha Sodhan Kajus Vashamsha Rasnagranam Yudhacha Adhishyam Nashayam Vishayam Rupasayukte Swaha Ukramam Pram Siddham Bhakti Yatharvat Vindantyantam Imuratnam Pasyanti Pasyanti Jnana Chakshasat Swaha Yatate Yoganishtainam Pasyantanam Dharmastitam Yatantu Yanta Pradman Namonandena Tashkati Sasva Yatati Jagatantriya Jagabasa Kekilam Yatanapasi Chayatana Rejo Riti Manakam Sva Kamavisha Katutani Taranyam Yam Bojasa Pushnadi Jomsati Sarva Sumo Rupa Kasatmaka Swaha Aham Pashpana Bhutva Kaninam Vikmasuta Pranapana Samayuta Acharyam Nam Chaturvidam Swaha Sarvasya Jana Niriti Sami Vishta Matahasmiti Vyana Vakohanam Cha Vidveshra Sadekam Deva Vidyam Vidanta Vidveda Vidveda Vachaham Swaha Dvadimokul Shogloke Shakshashashana Devacha Sharahasramani Bhutani Kutastu Sharam Yikchate Swaha Uttara Purishakvanya Padma Vidyudavita Yodotatraya Bhavishram Vimasha Jati Ishvara Swaha Yasmaksharam Titoham Acharadapi Jotaham Nadosmi Loki Videcha Patitan Purushottamasva Yomami Madhasan Guru Janani Purushottamam Sasarvavidha Jandiman Sarva Bhavina Bharatasva Iti Gudyatvam Shastram Idamutama Jnanagam Idagudvad Buddhimanyat Kritarishyaśya Bharatasva Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Panchadasu Adhyaya Sva Om Hu Shva Om Hua Sva Om Swa Swa Om Bhur Bhuva Swa Swa. You'll excuse our short circuit. Chapter 15, and the respected Supreme Divinity said, they speak of a banyan tree with its roots above. Its leaves are the indestructible meters of Sanskrit. Who knows this knows wisdom. Sanskrit is like a tree. It's like a banyan tree. You can take refuge under it. And its roots are in heaven. And its leaves and the fruits will come to those who understand and know they know the wisdom. Because through Sanskrit, we can communicate together. We can do together. So Kri means to do, and San means all together. And Sanskrit is what we do together. We communicate. Below and above, its branches are spread, nourished by the qualities, the three gunas. Opinions are its buds below, and its roots stretch forth, giving rise to action in the world of man. So here, the root of all action is our samskara, our tendencies, the divine attitudes with which we took birth. These tendencies are propensities to act and manifest behavior in a certain characteristic. So that's the root of our action in the world of men. And opinions are the buds. Because all that we think about, those sanskaras and all those objects and relationships, the mon, all the opinions, the attitudes about things, the adjectives and the adverbs that we use to describe it, from my personal point of view, it's good for me. And I like it. Those are the buds on the tree. Its form is not perceived here. Nobody sees this tree. As it has no beginning, nor end, nor base. How can the tree of infinite possibilities have a beginning and an end? Cut down this strong-rooted banyan tree with the weapon of non-attachment. You don't have to take refuge in the tendencies that we had from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime that we've been carrying forward. Take your non-attachment, cut down this strong tree, and free yourself from bondage to attachment. Then that goal should be pursued from where you will not return again. So you won't need any more further attachments. You won't have to come back again and again to complete the unfinished business. Even I seek refuge in that ancient perfect consciousness from which the activities of evolution originally streamed forth. So all the activities of evolution have their root in that perfect consciousness. They come from the union of that perfect consciousness with the mool prakriti, the root of all nature. So even Krishna himself, even the Supreme Divinity, is reaching back and trying to touch and take nourishment from the perfect consciousness and not just water the roots of sanskaras and tendencies. Liberated by purifying ignorance. That's the means of liberation. Purify ignorance. By conquering the faults of attachment. By eternally contemplating the spirit with unchanging desires among opposing alternatives. From attachment to pleasure and pain, those who are free from delusion reach that imperishable goal. So when we give up the unchanging desires among opposing alternatives, we give up the wavering of the mind. We give up the charmer who is constantly wandering to and fro. I'm going to try a little over here. No, I want to be free. I'm going to try it over here. No, I don't like that. I'm going to try it over here again. The sun does not illuminate that, as in Tat Tvam Asi. Nor the moon nor fire, having gone to my supreme residence, they do not return. Who would want to come back? Once we live with God, why would we give up godliness and go to live with worldliness? Doesn't make sense. And yet we do it anyway. Only a small portion of my eternal self residing in nature attracts the existence of an individual life in this manifested world with senses and mind known as the sixth sense. So all that you see that's attracting you to worldliness is just a small infinitesimal portion of my total existence. I'm a lot bigger than that. And then that's what's attracting you? You just want the small piece of me? The visible portion of me? So you can place your attachments to it and attach yourself with your senses. And now we're calling the mind the sixth sense, because all the senses go to the mind and they all join within the mind and they give birth to opinions. When the great ruler of all obtains a body, and when he leaves it as well, he accepts these with the same lack of attachment as does the wind in carrying sense from those who emit sense. So just as the wind feels when it picks up the scent and it carries it some distance and it leaves the scent, and that's the same way the great ruler of all feels when he picks up a body, wears it for a while, and then gives it up. And if he's not attached to the body, then why is he attached to all the stuff around the body? The objects and the relationships and the appurtenances and associations which encompass the body. Who cares? He has the same attitude as the wind does when it picks up the scent. And look at the smoke rising in the wind. And then the wind blows away and leaves the smoke. No attachment. He experiences various ideas because he presides over the ears, eyes, skin, taste, and scent, and also over the mind. Those who are foolishly united with qualities do not see the one who goes or stays, or who enjoys, only those who perceive through the eyes of wisdom. So if you're stuck in the body, you don't know who's going and coming. Only the people who see with the eye of wisdom can understand that supreme divinity has manifested. The beings of union who strive see this situated in the soul. Those who strive, who have not yet purified their souls, who are not fully conscious, do not see this. The light which comes from the sun illuminates the entire world. So also the light of the moon and the light of fire. Know that light as mine. All light is divine and symbolizes wisdom, and then the warmth of devotion and the light of wisdom. And all the light from the sun, the moon, and the fire, every light you see is a spark of divinity. Permeating the earth, I support all beings, and by my subtle energy and vegetation, I nourish all. Having become the moon, I raise the waters. And also within, what the body is about 90% water. And I raise the waters, having become the moon. And that's why the moon children have a lot of water rising. But that's why the planets have so much effect on our personalities. Because they attract the different elements in different ways. And the balance of elements creates a different nature. So that one who takes birth in a body has nature from their sanskaras and their tendencies, and also because they manifested in a certain way, attracted by the various planets, so that they can express that nature in the most conducive environment. Having taken refuge in the body of living beings as the universal being of light, united with the inflowing breath and the outflowing breath, I digest the 4 kinds of food. And now we have many kinds of food. That means a lot of, every place we get nourishment, it means food for the body, and food for the mind, and food for the soul, and food for the divine. And we get nourishment on many levels. The mantra says, Annapurna, who is always pure and full and complete and perfect, Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartham, for the attainment of perfection in wisdom and renunciation. Bhiksham Dehi Namoskrite. I bow to you, please give me nourishment for the purpose of a perfect wisdom and renunciation. And I am situated in the hearts of all. From me have come memory and wisdom in their absence. I am all that can be known, all that should be known, the author of all that is known, and the one who knows all as well. I know it all. And I am all that is to be known. Pretty cool. There are 2 aspects of perfect consciousness in the world, the perishable and the imperishable. The perishable resides in all manifested beings, and the imperishable is called beyond change. So perfect consciousness becomes manifest in union with nature, and it becomes manifest in a form which is perishable, which is transient, which will become something different, which will change. So the perishable resides in all manifested beings, and the imperishable is called beyond change because it never changes. It's always the same. But another name is used for the most excellent, perfect consciousness, the Supreme Soul, who is called the ruler of all, who pervades and sustains the 3 worlds. I am the most excellent, imperishable beyond the imperishable. Therefore, I am known in all wisdom as the excellent, perfect consciousness, Purushottama. Puru Isha Uttam. Purushottama. Puru is full, complete, and perfect. Isha is the seer, the perceiver, the consciousness. Uttam means most excellent, Sresh, apart, incomparable. Therefore, I am known in all wisdom as the excellent, perfect consciousness. He who is freed from delusion and knows me as the all-knowing, excellent, perfect consciousness, he worships me with complete attitude, O descendant of the light of wisdom, Arjuna, with total bhav, with complete attitude, with a full mind, with one egranchit, one consciousness submerged, completely absorbed by the object of awareness. And thus, this most secret science has been explained by me, O sinless one. Knowing this, the intelligent one who has accomplished all effects, the intelligent one has accomplished all effects, O descendant of the light of wisdom, Arjuna. Because if you know this secret science that I'm explaining to you, you have to be intelligent. And you have accomplished the effects of all causes, that is, everything desired to be obtained. And here ends the 15th chapter. Are there any questions? Yes, please.
Is there a reason why the meter changes so many times in this particular chapter?
No, there are changes in meters throughout various scriptures, and they indicate changes in bhavas and changes in attitudes and expressions of different flavor. So they perform many functions. One thing is they demand that we pay attention. Don't go to sleep on me. You might not get your seat back in the right position. No falling asleep. So it's the same in chanting. When we're reciting the text, don't go to sleep, pay attention. I'm changing the meter just like you change the gears in your gear shift so that you can move into a higher state of contemplation. Are there other questions?
Nanda from San Jose has a question. Namaste, Swamiji.
Namaste, Nandama.
Can you please share with us a worthy spiritual goal to have? Thank you.
A worthy spiritual goal. Very, very difficult question. Nanda, I can share with you a worldly goal, but it's hard to share with you a spiritual goal. Because spiritual means metaphysical. And metaphysical is not something that you can attain in the body. So how can you make a goal of it? So, worldly goals, I can tell you many that I have pursued in my own life, and they evolved into spiritual rewards. They brought spiritual fruits from pursuing a worldly goal. And these were worthy worldly goals. I tried to serve my guru. I tried to sit in an asana. I tried to expand the length of time that I could sit in the asana. I tried to understand what I was chanting. And I would try to inculcate the qualities that are described in the verses that I was chanting so that it was no longer a history of what the rishis did back then, but it's a story of my evolution. I tried to make my life based on spiritual values, so that I was trying to be generous, kind, loving, and efficient. I tried to give more and take a little less. These are worthy worldly goals because I could do it. It was something I could do. Nanda, I didn't have spiritual goals because they were beyond this worldly plane. I had worldly goals which I thought were worthy. How do I pattern my behavior after the example that I wish to follow? How do I say, okay, let thy will be done? And you really mean it. Some of us say, let thy will be done when it's convenient to us. But when she actually says, this is what I want, we say, hey, not from me. Don't take away my attachment. I don't want your will. You do my will. Let my will be done. And that's really what we're saying. So here we have what I define for myself as worthy, worldly goals, which yielded very beautiful spiritual fruits. I get the privilege of worshiping every day. I get the privilege of making a sankalpa to recite the chandi every day. I get to sit before a fire and make offerings every day. And I get to write about the thing I love the most and make multimedia projects about what I love most and share my love for God and for my Guru. This, to me, is a tremendous privilege that came from pursuing worldly goals. It wasn't spiritual goals. I said, oh, I'm going to become the most altruistic person. That had no definition to me. I think a goal is something you aim at, and therefore it's something you look at, you can see, you can measure your progress. So it has to be manifest in the world. It's something we can do, a sankalpa. So that's my understanding of worthy goals. If you make them too altruistic, there's no measurement. You know, don't know, I want to obey God's will all the time. Well, that's very nice to say, but how many of us really mean it? And what happens when we don't? I want to find a goal that I can say, I can do that. I'm going to put my clock here and I'm going to increase my asana 5 minutes a month. Now that is a goal. It's a worldly goal that's going to bring me to asana siddhi. And everybody defines asana siddhi in a different way. My tradition, my guru defined it as 4 hours minimum without moving your knees. Don't break the asana. He said when you can sit for 4 hours without breaking the asana, then you'll have enough discrimination to determine what is your goal. What is a goal worthy of your pursuing? As long as you're moving around and seeking a little of this and a little of that, how do we develop the criteria by which to discriminate which goals are worthy of us? Kasmi devaya habisha bideha. But to which deity, to which form of divinity shall I offer my oblation? How do we know? I can go on for a long time because for me, in every puja padhoti, the first step is the sankalpa. You've got to say, what's your goal? And every day in the last chapter, the goddess comes to me and says, what do you want? Okay, you did what you said you would do. What do you want? What's your goal? And I have one breath to tell her what I want and why I'm doing this sadhana. So I believe those are worthy goals which are definable, demonstrable, performable. I have the capacity to do it, and they yield spiritual truths, realizations, freedom, and they yield realization, understanding. They take me away into the metaphysical world where I don't have any goals because I can't measure it. It's metaphysical. Namaste.
A question from Morning Song, Santa Rosa.
Hi, Morning Song. Namaste.
Swamiji, Namaste Swamiji. How do we go about purifying our souls as in verse 11?
What we're doing right now, Morning Song, is purifying our souls. Those who have strived to purify their souls, we're striving. We're taking the inspiration, we're cultivating the knowledge, we're putting it into practice, we're joining in satsang, we're doing the sadhana and the tapasya, and we're making a discipline for our lives, and we're trying to bring our many minds and thoughts to a focus. And saying, this is important to us. That's how we go about purifying ourselves. Because I can tell you tonight is Tuesday night, and here we are studying the Bhagavad Gita instead of being in a myriad of places where we otherwise could be. You have purified your soul just in turning on your computer to this www.srima.org. That's a purification, because you could have gone to any other site. God knows there are lots of things out there. And you chose to fulfill your sankalpa, to strive for purity, and listen to the discussion on the Bhagavad Gita rather than any other type of entertainment. There in itself is obvious. You have the objective, you have the goal, you have defined a value system that shows that you're purifying your soul. It's all in accordance with your objective. So that's how we do it.
Yes.
Please.
Along that same thought, on our Yahoo club right now, several people have posted a question about they feel drawn to become disciples of Srima.
Me too.
So maybe you could, I don't know how to answer that myself, but the question from different people was, I feel drawn to, I don't know what it means to become a disciple. Is there an initiation to become a disciple? Is there a conversion process to become a disciple? To become a Hindu? Is there a conversion process?
All you want to do is convert your attitude. All you want to do is convert your value system. If you choose to become a disciple, it means that you are choosing that example after which to guide or pattern your lives and your values and your sadhana, your spiritual discipline, your worldly interaction, your activities will be patterned after the example of the Guru. And that's what a disciple is. In Sanskrit, the word disciple is shish. And shish means a mirror. And a mirror is a reflection of the example. And each of us is striving to turn ourselves into a reflection of the example, which is our Guru. And remember, gu karas tvandakaras cha ru kara tejas uchate. The gu is, well, in Bengali, it's the stuff you find in the path along the way. You know, like looking out for number 2. But the gu is the darkness of ignorance. And the ru is the light. And the guru is the light in my darkness. And she is the illuminator of wisdom, because she takes away the darkness. She takes away the ignorance. She illuminates the wisdom. And I want to become the shisha, the mirror that reflects the attitudes of my example, the efficiency, the kindness, the gentility, the grace, the enthusiasm, the bhava of my example, the love, the compassion, all of her attributes, those beautiful qualities which attract all of us to her. We want to exemplify that in our own behavior. These are demonstrable goals that we can pursue. And all you have to do to pursue them is say, wow, that's an example that I respect. And I want to respect others the way she is showing respect to me. And now I'm a disciple. And that's the initiation, the day you wake up and say, I want to be like my guru. She's not saying I want devotees to come and make offerings to me. She's saying you be like me. I'm sitting here with all of you. And a common ground. Sangha chadwang sambhavatwang sangbo manamshi jamatham. We're all together here. Please come together, speak together. Let your minds be all of one accord. This was the path of the rishis. And she's saying, come, be like me. If you want to be like me, come to me. So that's the initiation. And if you want to go deeper, then you'll turn on your computer in the evening and study the Bhagavad Gita with us. You'll read our books. You'll watch our videos. You come deeper into the teaching. And when the time is appropriate, you'll come to the Devi Mandir and share with us. And we party. And Mom leads the party. With so much grace, she cooks for everybody, she serves everybody, she sings for everybody, she entertains everybody, and she enlightens everybody. And that's what our spiritual parties are about. We do sadhana and love each other and serve each other and work together. That's what it means to be a disciple. So if you're interested, contact Vishweshwar. Namaste.
Question from Kumari Valinuru. In verse 1, Lord says that the leaves of the banyan tree are indestructible Vedic meters. In verse 3, says that one should cut down this banyan tree with the weapon of non-attachment.
Kumari Mom, you're absolutely right. We're going to go beyond sattva. We're going to, remember the Sanskrit are the indestructible meters. As they are manifested here, they are the meters which take us into the Nirakara. And when we cut down this tree, we go beyond sattva, we go beyond Sanskrit, we go beyond doing together, and we are one in unity consciousness. So even after we master the meters of Sanskrit and we know what we're saying and we say it with the love and the enthusiasm as an expression of our own hearts, even then we're going to cut down that tree and go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And we can't go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi with any baggage whatsoever. So that's the meaning that I understand from those two verses. Are there other questions?
Karen from Colorado asks Swamiji, verse 13's discussion brought in the influences of the planets upon a person. May I ask, please, if we can use planetary energies to help us develop spiritually? If so, how do we do this? Thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Namaste, Karen. Namaste, Michael. Yes, we can use planetary energies to help us cultivate our spirituality. Of course, it says in the Chandi, in chapter 12, when we read the Chandi, when all the inimical positions of the planets are dispelled from the recitation of the Chandi. Even so, look at the positive and malevolent effects of the planets and put them into harmony. The sun is the light of wisdom. The moon is devotion. Buddha, Mercury is the emblem of communication. The Mars is the strength and the fortitude to pursue. Jupiter is the guru of the gods. He's got knowledge of spiritual sort. Shukra is love and attachment. And how does he bring us in? We love our and respect and devote ourselves to that to which we can attach ourselves. Sunny commands discipline. And Rahu makes direction. And Ketu allows us to overcome the obstacles. Now, if we look at our planetary influences from the positive perspective, certainly by performing the Navagraha Puja, the Navagraha Homa, and putting all these energies into balance, we fill ourselves with positivity and we convert what possibly could have been a negative expression into the most positive influence in our lives. Yes, we can. We can do it, people. Namaste.
Nirmala Nanda from North Carolina asks Swamiji, can you explain a little bit more about the 4 kinds of food?
There are, of course, there's a sweet and sour and salty and astringent. There's one more, isn't there? Bitter. No, astringent and bitter. What's the difference?
Bitter is kind of
Okay. So then we have those kinds of foods. Now, but let's look for food for our bodies and food for our minds and food for our souls and food for the divinity around. And there are 4 kinds of offerings. So when we make a shraddha, for example, we make one offering to the personal form of the deceased in a memorial ceremony. We make one offering at the altar to all the gods. We make one offering at the fire, and we make one offering to all of nature. And we are feeding on 4 levels, all the different kinds in honor of our departed relative, our departed friend. We are memorializing, celebrating by feeding all of creation on every level, with 4 kinds of food on 4 levels. So there are many ways that we can apply the definition of 4 kinds of food. Food for my body, food for my mind, food for my soul, and food for the God within me. Or food for all of creation, food for others, food for less.
Dilip from Florida has
Hi Dilip, namaste.
Shiva and Swamiji have taught me everything, but now since I'm far away, other people are creating problems for me by claiming that those people have given me everything and I must give up everything I learned from Shrima. I can't adapt any other way. Please help me overcome. How do I do this?
Take all the malevolent influences out of your life, Dilip. Everybody who raises you up, gravitate towards them. Those who try to take away and put you down, leave those influences, Dilip. They're not going to make the most positive impact on your life. In fact, the proposition is most probable that we're going to become like the people with whom we associate. Choose your gurus wisely. Don't allow people to put you down and take from you. Allow people to raise you up and give to you. And associate with those kinds of people. And now today in this Kali Yuga where you can turn on your computer and you can plug into a webcam and have this discussion all around the world, isn't this fabulous? We can have our own satsang and we don't have to go to anyone else's satsang. We can discriminate and choose which influences we want to allow into our lives. And now we are empowered to live that way. Even like Michael and Karen on a mountaintop. Or Mukti Ma in a forest. Or Devi Mandir in a mountain valley. We're all one, and we can unite. That's the strength of our family. We have the power to unite in purity and clarity all around the world. And I bow to you, and I appreciate that you would choose to unite with us. What it is, an opportunity it presents to us to get to unite with pure souls such as yourselves who wish to tune in. I mean, you could be watching any other station on the television, on Bhagavad, and yet you choose to come into the Bhagavad Gita. You choose to come into the Devi Mandir. Namaste.
Terry from Iowa wants to say comment.
Namaste, Terry.
Terry is talking about 6 tastes.
Yes, yes. Uh-huh.
Terry says they are sweet, sour, salty, pungent, astringent, bitter.
Very good. Thank you very much, Terry. Yes, please.
Swamiji, on verse 8,
Yes.
it says, when the great ruler of all obtains a body.
Yes.
This great ruler of all, is it the soul?
Yes.
But,
And it is the Supreme Soul. And it is also Ishvara.
but Swamiji, isn't it that, I'm confused how, isn't it that you said that the soul goes from one body to another, like how you change your clothes?
Yes.
But when you go from one body to the other, we said earlier in this chapter, we are taking some samskaras with us.
Yes.
But here, this great ruler,
If you postulate a time when there was Mahapralaya, and there was nothing in existence, it's a great hymn from Rig Veda, then there was not the existence of something, nor the existence of nothing. If you postulate that time of full potential energy when Mool Prakriti was in its unmanifest state, that one thing breathed of its own nature, and the great ruler of all became manifest. And he took on a body. And he obtained a body. And when he leaves it as well, he has the same lack of attachment. He has no attachment to that body, just like when we will go into the next Mahapralaya, the great ruler of all will leave that body or leave a manifested existence, just like the wind when carrying a scent from those who emit scents. No attachment. Yes?
Swamiji, what does it mean to take refuge in that perfect consciousness? Even Krishna is taking refuge.
To take refuge in perfect consciousness, to me, means that's my ideal. That's my goal. That's my objective. That's my Sreshta Adharsh. That's the highest goal, the highest definition, the highest degree of perfection that I can find in this creation. And I am taking refuge in that. I want to serve that. I want to do sadhana for that. I want to be one with that. That, as in Tat Tvam Asi, means that's the highest for me. And it's not just the highest when I go to the Devi Mandir, when I talk to Srima or Swamiji, and then I turn on the TV or I go to the movies, and it's not high anymore. That is really high. And I'm working for that. And I'm serving that. And that's my goal. That's what it means to me. Everyone will define it in their own way, because ultimately the Rishi said, na-iti, na-iti. It's niti, niti. It's not this and it's not that. Yes, please.
Could you help me
understand this banyan tree a little bit. It says, cut down the strong-rooted banyan tree with the weapon of non-attachment.
Yes.
Does that mean that it's ego?
Yes.
So
When,
that's Oshura. And
yes.
then why does it have no end and no beginning?
The banyan tree is the infinite realm, the infinite field of possibilities. So it has no end and no beginning. And now all these possibilities give rise to some phenomena which is separate or distinguished or different from me. And if there's a you, then there's got to be a me seeing you as different from me. So now ego is born. Now I want to cut down this banyan tree with all its possibilities, which gives rise to ego. Even I want to cut down the Sanskrit meters, because once I know Sanskrit, I know God. And I don't need the Sanskrit anymore, because I'm going to leave that behind as well. So when I reach for that near akara, that near vikalpa, without any idea, without any duality, all vidya, then this weapon of non-attachment is the only way I can cut down that banyan tree. I can't, there is no other way to cut down the attachments of the ego than the weapon of non-attachment. And in order to cultivate non-attachment, I have to attach myself to something that's stronger and more pure than the other attachments. That's how I cultivate non-attachment. So I want to attach myself to the Guru. I want to attach myself with devotion to sadhana. I want to attach myself to following the pure example demonstrated by those who have preceded me. I want to attach myself to knowledge, which will free me from the bonds of attachment. And that's the only way I can free myself from attachment, is by attaching myself to the right things. And the attachments to the wrong things will go away by themselves. And within a short time, even the attachments to the pure will dissolve. And we go into samadhi. And when we come back from samadhi, we find ourselves attached to the pure. And that becomes the fact of our life, not the practice. Not I'm trying to abstain from this attachment, not the anti-desire desire, but it becomes a fact of our lives. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Were there any other questions? Well, let's try and address them.
Nanda wants to really thank you very, very much for your exposition on the goals. And she's asking if I want to be like my guru is a greater and more tangible goal than I want to experience Nirvikalpa Samadhi.
Absolutely, the guru is much more important than God. The grace of the Guru is greater than the grace of God. It says it in the Bhagavad Gita again and again. The Guru can show you how to get to God. And then once you're with God, there's no duality. So if you have a desire for Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you probably will experience a lot of births and a lot of deaths. because you don't have a way to enter into Nirvikalpa Samadhi without a guru. Now, if you have a love for the guru and the guru teaches you to sit like this and breathe like this and use the Sanskrit meters and texts in order to develop the pranayama so that you can relinquish attachment to your body and move into samadhi, then the guru has given a greater service to the disciple than even God has. That experience will be accomplished of its own accord. And that's the grace of the guru. Do and get. Kripa. Kri means kara. Pa means pa. What you do is what you get, is the grace. And if you have a qualified guru that teaches you discrimination, and you cultivate good values to give you criteria by which to discriminate what's going to take me closer to my goal and what's going to take me farther away, then your guru has performed a marvelous service for you. And if you follow that advice and follow that example, you become a disciple. And that is the initiation. All you got to do to join is sing it the next time it comes around. Are there other questions?
Wendy from New Jersey.
Hi, Wendy, Mom.
So, Namaste, Swamiji. You had mentioned earlier that one way to purify our soul is through tapasya. Can you please tell me how to begin that practice?
Well, the first is we start with an inspiration, Wendy. And I think you've been bit already by the goddess of inspiration. So then the next thing is to cultivate the knowledge, and you're doing that right now as we read the chapters and we read the meanings and we talk about the applications in our own lives. The third step is to start practicing. You and Sam should sit at the altar together every morning and read the chapter, read a verse, and do japa, read the peace mantra, and say all the different types of spiritual disciplines which you've learned in just a few weeks even. You have so much material in your bag that you could probably have more to do than you're capable of spending the time. And that's how. And now make it longer. Put your clock there and say, I'm not going to move my knees until another 5 minutes passes. And you'll see that after 1 year, you'll be sitting for an hour. And that's the tapasya. That's the austerity which purifies us.
Swamiji, Steve Connor from Texas.
Hi, Steve. Namaste.
He is saying he's very grateful to you for finally making clear to me the difference between Guru and God.
Oh, namaste.
Kumari has a question from the last
Sure.
class. She said, how to resolve spiritual life and life in the world? Is this a double life? Is this a life of truthfulness? Can Swamiji please comment?
Oh boy, can I ever, Kumari. It's the biggest dichotomy that every one of us is facing. All of us, we want to be devotees and we want to be disciples and we want to be efficient sadhus, and yet we're burdened by worldly obligations. How do we reconcile our worldly requirements and responsibilities with our spiritual aspirations? And I believe that's another way of paraphrasing the question. And my own understanding is we have to find a way to share our spirituality in a way that it comes through everything we do. So when you work at your business, or when you work at your offices, or when you work in whatever capacity you do, your spiritual life is not separate These are spiritual practices. Because the worst thing in the world is say, oh, now I've got to give up my spiritual self and put on my uniform and go become my material self. Because as soon as you do that, you say, well, spiritual is one life and material is another life. And what we have to do is cultivate the integration of spirituality into everything we do. And if that means we need to choose a new profession, then by all means do so. Choose a profession which allows you and encourages you in an environment which inspires you to give